Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. With that being said, let me go ahead and give you all shouts out. First, shouts out to S. Jock and R. Campbell for coming through on the Cash App, and I mean it from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind. Regarding that, I'm letting you all know, I'm not asking permission, but I am updating everybody that from here on out, whatever you send is going to partially go to, one, the business I started, and two, to aid and assist my son in his professional development that would enable him to live and work outside of the West. So I would not just be wasting money on him per se, like, oh, here's just spending cash, not that, but things like, let's say, for instance, it may go to courses that he may take, or maybe some basic computer equipment that might help him to take the courses. He told me to thank you all on his behalf for getting back to me and him through that poll that I put up in the community tab asking about should it be coding or should it be cybersecurity or even a third option. And now many of you stopped answering about 30 hours ago. Thank you all for the feedback you have given, but don't let the new uploads distract you from that. We're still taking feedback, and he's already started to look and do some research into what it takes to get into cybersecurity. And I hope I can remember to send him or direct him to Theo Waff as well. Because I heard that Theo Waff actually coaches and gives all kinds of information on this. Next. And also my son is doing the self-improvement route. He is going to the gym daily since he's landed here. And he's recovering because he did get ill in the country to which he went. And yes, the family there and he have decided to go forward, and they do plan to marry. And he's doing his best to be responsible and become better and self-improved even before that point. In any case, we want to thank y'all for the feedback that you have sent and to ask for more. Please feel free to send more info. Next. I want to give a shout out to the Reverend Brother Bishop Pastor Deacon Dr. Hurricane Edward Allen Anderson of the New Greater Zion Valley. Precious Lamb, oh Lord, hold my mule while I shout. Golden Monument, Mountain of Hope, Faith Tabernacle of Red Pill Awareness, that we don't take no thit off them O's. Incorporated. I'm still listening to what he has uploaded, but he said that one thing he said was that there is, in fact, a notion that all of this is just in social media. I'm going to tell you all now that I know mother cuss word well that that's not what's going on here. I knew that before I left the States, but I didn't fully know how to articulate it. I thought it might have been exaggerated on social media, but it didn't really seem to be. You see, I knew that men were reacting to something for real. And I'm simply not interested in hearing women's side of the story anymore in the West, hearing their excuses, hearing what they think it is. I'm not interested in that. I'm tired of this notion that women are precious and their moms and their daughters and their wives, but subscribe to my OnlyFans for $6.99 a month. What? No. Get out my face with that sure bit. What you doing, cooking? What you doing, roasting the gynocracy and the hyenocracy? While you're young and cute? That what you do? No, we're not doing that. What you doing? Getting out there and lending your youth and your beauty and a good personality to making it unfashionable to just be mean to men because we're men? That's what we're doing? Or is that what y'all are refusing to? No, I don't want to hear it anymore from them. And that's because I have actually witnessed what they're hiding from you. I've witnessed that for a long time. You see, what many of you, as I've stated, have had to deal with, many of you, while being normal and even being uh, the definition of the buck Negroes that they want, have had to deal with a lot of shuck fit you should not have had to face. Many of you have had to face the sure bit, the effery, the games, the deceit, the attempts at a dual mating strategy, the demands that you be childless and generous to their kids. But when I was coming up, it wasn't everybody they did this to. So it wasn't everyone to whom they did this. As I stated, in my hometown, of the guys I knew, and I knew a lot of people, it was about 4 of us I could pinpoint that really got this kind of treatment reliably. One guy, because of his looks and his height, could only marry a single mom, and that was the only way he was going to get rid of his virginity. And I remember my ex-girlfriend, who herself was a little too big for that age, cute, but a little too big for that age. And, you know, growing up in the Gulf Coast South, we didn't even think she was big. I asked her, listen, would he have been able to marry her before she became a mom? And she was like, no, I don't think so. I know how she is. She would have never looked his way. And I was just like, then he shouldn't have married her. And she even said, but what if they was in love? And I was just like, no. They're not. He might be, but she's not. If she could not get with him while he was childless, he's childless. If she could not have gotten with him when she was also childless, he's not her type. She's not in love. He can't marry her just because he's in love if he knows she's not. She wondered if I believed in love, and I told her, of course I believe in it, but the fact remains that it needs to be mutual, and in this case, it damn sure is not. I don't know what's changed since they got married, but I got my doubts. Later on, I had my next girlfriend after her actually was a single mom. But she seemed to be interested in me for real. One day, I remember she was showing me some old pictures of her, and she said, I looked at some of them, and one of them she showed was when her baby was first born. And I even said, would you have, what would you have thought of me at that point? She said, I probably wouldn't have noticed. The reason that I didn't drop her like a hot potato right then and there was because while she was saying she probably wouldn't have noticed, she seemed to genuinely be interested in me at that time. Now I look back and I realize that no, there was absolutely no way. It wasn't because she was older that now I could be her type. It was because she was a mom that I could be her type. And she really didn't ask me to like be stepdad and that sort of thing. She didn't ask me to do that. But the fact remains that I had to see it for what the cuss word it was. They were not going to notice me or pick me out of a lineup if we were on equal footing. I had to be inappropriately older. I had to be inappropriately, I had to have inappropriately more money. I had to be above them in class. It had to be a mismatch in my hometown. When I lived in my hometown, chicks out of town dug me. I moved to Atlanta, chicks in my hometown started to dig me. I had a rude awakening, and now what I'm seeing is that the rude awakening I had, which was largely limited to, because based on circumstances, they were largely limited to a few guys in my hometown, not a lot of us, are now being broadly applied to most of you, and you cannot escape the bad, evil treatment, the contempt they had for those of us they considered to be inferior, or those who they feared their friends would think were inferior, even if they knew we were not. Is now applied to us across the board. Jonathan Majors cannot escape from it, whether he's with Megan Good or Grace Jabari. Megan Good won't run into Jonathan Majors and jump on him and that sort of thing. She won't do that. But, she ran out on Devon Franklin. Ran out. And went for them streets. She pretty much looked at Devon Franklin and said, he ain't man enough to reproduce. I don't want that. Not happening. I don't believe in, I think it's Devon. I'm not sure how he would pronounce it, but I'll say Devon and Reverend Franklin. I don't believe in Reverend Franklin's gospel, but what I do understand is that it's not a doctrinal difference per se in between her and him. She didn't run out on him because of a doctrinal difference. She ran out on him because he has that doctrine, because he has religion at all to a level that one could call serious. That's what the hell it took. If he wasn't a mega church pastor, she probably would not have married him. He didn't have to do something wrong per se. He defended her. He did what they say they wanted. He was what they say they wanted. He had what they say they wanted. I've said you've got to do, be, and have too much in exchange for too little. He did and was and had, and he does and is and has exactly what they have said they wanted, and she vanished. He didn't lose anything because she didn't show up for the court hearings. See, now it's all of us. Is he a skinny, bird-chested wimp? No. Neither physically nor overall in the way that he is behaving. However, she sees him as such because he does not say to her, go put a longer dress on, you and me now. I look at your legs, not somebody else. I look at your cleavage, not somebody else. Maybe that's what she wanted. And if he had said that, she would have still tripped because there was a certain level past which she just was not willing to go. And at this point, it don't matter what you are. You cannot be alpha or buck Negro enough for them to actually abide, unless maybe you thugged out with felonies and neck tattoos and a bunch of baby mamas. Maybe then, and even then, they got to reach in their pocket and pay for the stuff they want you to have. They'll do it. Then they're going to get tired. The only difference is that when they get tired, someone else will step up and take her place. But if you are not on that shuck fit, then they don't even get tired. You stay by your lonesome. But you got to understand why. One of the reasons I tell you all that it is hatred is because they won't view you as even being a man. They won't view you as being worthy. The only one they hate more than you is the one that insists on loving you. See, my childhood enemy is not necessarily my enemy now, but the nigga community of my hometown is my enemy to a certain extent. Do you know why? They validate him. He may have changed since we were little. I don't know. I don't care. I don't live there no more. If he was going to change to where we could have been cool, he would have had to do that while we were younger. He didn't do it. I don't have time to be an enemy to him, but we're not going to be bosom buddies if I go back and visit. Shuck that fit. We can't drink together anyway. I'm Muslim. We're not having dinner together. What is there to talk about? Even when he gave up on the last fight, he still didn't learn his lesson. He never will until I stab this nigga. Even then, he probably would still come back for more. He'll never be afraid enough of me to where he won't disrespect me if he gets mad. To keep him alive and keep me out of jail, I just leave him. We don't get together. Doesn't care how many friends. I don't care how many friends we had in common in childhood. He and I were never truly friends. I did try because of the friends we had in common, not because of him, not because I was afraid. But you know what? He was like, yeah, that nigga scared me. Okay, you know what? But in all honesty, the nigga community of my hometown validated this itch Nas bigger. They did it. And one day Brandy did it. Yeah, Brandy Norwood, the singer, according to what our mutual friends told me. They weren't, he didn't say this. I wasn't talking to him by this time. They told me. They said that she went to one of the sporting events and he wasn't one of the athletes, but he was participating in something else, and she saw him and sent a security to him, and he and she vanished for that weekend, and he was back the next Monday on campus with brand new threads talking about something along the lines of "smell my fingers" or some wicked grin. People were trying to figure out, like, bro, you disappeared all weekend. Where was you? He wouldn't say. Let me just say this. The fact that the black community of my hometown validated him to the point that he never had to work a 9 to 5 job a day in his life. He opened up some company that did parties and promotions, and that nigga community supported him is why that community is really my enemy. It's not so much that I hate him, it's just that I know he's crap, or that he was. They gave this nigga all kinds of passes. I'm telling you that they became my enemy at that point. That is what the sistren are like regarding you. They may hate you, they have a low boiling contempt for you, but when they realize that these women they want to say are just misguided and goofy and don't know any better and naive and dirty foot and poor and unexposed and don't understand you, when they find out that these women are actually choosing you for real and not using you, they then begin to hate them, and that's why they started to insult them in Thailand and the Philippines. They weren't insulting them for any reason other than actually choosing you and not just using you. They think you're fit. They think you're inferior. They think you're crap. And you sitting up here trying to win these broads. Some of you. This is not just social media, as the Reverend Brother Bishop Pastor Deacon Dr. Hurricane Edward Allen Anderson said. He didn't say that. He's saying the same thing I am saying, that is not the case. But I am also bearing witness to witnessing the truth of what he said even a long time ago. Social media brought a lot of awareness to it. Social media is where it is being pushed back against. Yeah, that's what's happening on social media. But this is, if you don't have a Facebook or a Twitter, if you have no social media account anywhere, you know what the hell happened in some of the news stories. And this is the thing that really got to me. I'd forgotten about this. Last week, when I was in the city in which I used to live, and my wife still lives, she and I and her friend from Philadelphia, the African American Muslima to say she ain't African, went to see Aquaman. Let me tell you what the problem with that was. You know what? Never mind. Y'all already know. How the hell did Amber Turd make her way back into that? I thought she got canceled. She didn't? For the muck, man. I mean, I think that was her. Johnny Depp got canceled, but she didn't? No, what the hell is that, man? Jonathan Majors got canceled, but she didn't? You see, this is a goddamn war. She cut off a portion of his finger, boo-booed on the sheets, cheated on him with more than one, Elon Musk being among one of them, according to the hotel surveillance elevators. The hotel, the elevator cameras. God, dear God, that's a war. Not just what she did. This is Johnny Depp. Why was she bringing up other men to the apartment when he was out of town in the first further mucking place? You know why? I'll let you know what it is. Johnny Depp left the U.S. and went to live in another country because he disagreed with certain things that the states were doing. That's why. He has a conscience. Johnny Depp has a conscience. He's one of those men, and that makes him deserving of ill treatment to a Western hyena. Amber Turd is just a white one. You see where we're going with this. And I'm looking at you all and I'm thinking to myself, I can't mother cuss word believe that you all have had to deal with this getting worse and worse and worse. And there's still enough men in the United States and Canada and the UK to keep those father muckers running. It's not just online. What it is that some people want to tell you that it's just online. And mind you, if Edward already said this, forgive me because I haven't finished listening yet at the time I'm recording this. But if they want to tell you that it's just online, it's just social media, that there's just this gender war, what it means is that that's where it's two-sided. In real life, it's one-sided. You understand? Maybe it's not one-sided in real life. I mean, it does seem to me that what social media is doing is recording real life, because I have sat up and seen, I'm trying to remember whose video it was, but there was a man put a lady up to go and approach a dude. I think it was for some money. She went to this dude, try to get his number. He was like, oh, you're approaching me, but I'm sorry, I'm gay. And she went back to the dude that put her up to, and he was like, did you approach him? Did he say no or what? And she said, well, I turned him down because up close he wasn't my type. She lied to that man that put her up to it because she got turned down. And this brings me to the next point. What I want to say to you is that the black gender war is something else, and that's the one about which I'm concerned. For you. The black gender war is one where, and social media, especially Edward, the response is just date out, just marry out, just cross over, just divest. Some of them are trying to do it and they're saying the same thing. Some of us are challenging them to do it, but they're being met with failure. And accountability commentary is really good at documenting that. They're being met with failure. Shouts out to AC for that. The Blackout Channel. I'm telling you this, and this is something I know from being here. Non-black men don't like black women, and they don't care about the attitude for the most part. They don't like black women because they're black. Now, if they hate black women or think black women are inherently inferior, then I would say, yeah, that's racist. But if they just don't prefer them, I can't say that is. However, and then there is an element of racism in it only because many of them assume that nobody else not only will, but should prefer sisters. Many of them assume, why would you prefer sisters? That is a problem to me. That's when I start to say, wait, what the F is your issue? Now, if they think that nobody should ever prefer a Western sister, you mother cuss word right. No one should. But they tend to think nobody should prefer a black woman, period, because they got wide nose, big lips, nappy hair, dark skin. That's it. That's all it takes. Doesn't matter what your attitude is. That's when I disagree with them. I'll defend sisters from those who scream that, but I don't defend sisters from those who say that nobody should prefer the Western sister. No, they should not. No one should. Something's wrong with you if you do. Or you've been intentionally kept ignorant of what else is out there. And a lot of brothers, especially young ones, have been. Social media is actually where that ignorance is going away. And that's another reason that sisters are angry and ticked off and frustrated and mad. And why y'all telling them this and that and the other. And yeah, they're mad about that because they can't get their kids off of social media completely. And that's where Kevin Samuel's message is spreading. I'll never forget that young high school guys were in the gym stomping and clapping, get your passport, get your passport. I'll never forget that. My son ordered his and it took 8 weeks, I think. I ordered mine. Supposed to take 2, took 4. I'll never forget. I will never forget. My son now has 2 stamps on his passport. Saudi being one of them. I don't photograph them and put them up because I don't want it to risk anybody trying to trace him through the passport number or the visa number or anything like that. But yeah, he's got two. And one of the things I may do is that on my Odyssey channel, I may put up a video that I don't put up on YouTube. And that video may be behind a paywall for a few dollars. I doubt it'd be more than $6. But it would give information to young brothers looking. One would be for the non-Muslims and the other would be for the Muslims. Because for the Muslims, Morocco ain't the only place to go. It ain't. It's not. And there is feminism in Morocco. And we can tell you, and if my son gives permission to say what the country is, to which he went, then I can tell you all where it's not quite the same, except maybe in the big cities. And even then, it is to the point where if a bunch of us did show up that are Muslim and rewarded the traditional women, we could incentivize real submission. Again, before feminism takes its root and gets a stronghold there. Might do that on Odyssey. If I do, I'll put a link to it in the community tab in YouTube and in Odyssey. But if I do it, it'll be on Odyssey and it won't be on YouTube. And yeah, it will be behind a paywall. And I'll give information that'll make it worth it. It'll make it worth the somewhere between $4 to $7. Well, no, actually between $4 to $6 that I would probably charge for it. It wouldn't be that difficult. You know, social media is the means by which people in real life are also beginning to fight. Men in real life are beginning to fight back, especially black men. The black gender war is something else. Because it is the war that can be stopped by men simply saying to sisters, just date out or just marry out. If you say just lay out, that could also put a stop to it to a certain extent. Here's why. When you say this, the reason I haven't said it as much as Edward Allen Anderson has said it is because I know the mockery that is, because I see it firsthand. It is a effing mockery. The reason why these men here don't question me about being married to a black woman is because if they know me at all, they quickly realize I'm black. And more brothers around here, when I have gone with my son, more and more brothers have been open with me. They've opened up to me more, talked with me more, shaken my hands more. That's what's been going on since I've been with my son. And the thing is, people don't look at us and know that we're father and son. They don't look at us and know that. Because they don't think I'm that old. And if I say that he's my son, then they'll assume that he's probably 16. They may make that assumption. But they ask how old he is, and I'm like 22. They look at me like, how your son? And he's 22. Because they don't realize that I'm in my 40s. But when I'm with him and I'm speaking with him, even though he and I speak in English, the funny thing is that they hear us speaking and they realize that I'm an Onyx. But the thing is that when I'm just out with my wife, they kind of look and wonder like, what's if they don't know me? And this is in the town in which I used to live, where my wife still lives. They're looking like, what's going on here? Now in Riyadh, it wasn't quite the same. But they look like, what's happening here? They wonder what's going on. But when I'm out with either B Deep or Mr. Hausawi or both of them, because they finally met, when I'm out with them, shouts out to B Deep and Mr. Hausawi. Assalamu alaikum, gentlemen. When I'm out with them, either one of them, I've seen where non-black women check us both out. Now, he looks younger, he is younger, and he looks younger, and he's in better shape. So he'll get more looks than I will. But then they checking us both out. They hear us speaking. They can see he's a brother. They can hear that I'm one. And so they begin to realize that these are two onyxes. We got options. When I went to Malaysia the first time, my close friend from Atlanta, namesake actually, didn't know that I was discussing marriage with my current wife at that time. He had no clue. But when I told him, hey, man, I'm in Kuala Lumpur. I'm about to get some photos for you, man. It's nice and tropical. Because, I wasn't there in December, January, while he was freezing in Atlanta. I was lamping in the tropics, man. So I was telling him, rubbing it in a little bit. You know what this joker did? Kuala Lumpur, oh man, that's great. He went to a matrimonial website for Malaysia and started a profile for me, got back to me in a few minutes and said, log in with this username and this password. You got 28 hits. I'm like, what the hell you mean? I followed the link he sent. It's a matrimonial site, logged in with the username and passport. Now he knew my date of birth. So he had uploaded a photo of me with my info in it. You get it? And I had 36 hits by that time. So in between him telling me I had 28 hits and me logging in, which is a matter of a few minutes, I went from 28 to 36. I could have accidentally gotten married in Malaysia if I wanted to, and I am not black enough to be getting married to no real sister with anything going for her in the United States. You see where this is going? My son went to a nation. It's not a nation that doesn't look up to black folk, but it's not far from them either. It's not far from the ones that are like that. The family has agreed, and the young lady that he has agreed and has agreed to marry him has started. She's sending messages to me, and she's calling me Baba. Now the funny thing is that Baba is dad in most African languages, not just one African language. That's across many African languages. Pretty much every Bantu language has Baba. She's calling me Baba, asking me questions about more English and that sort of thing. I taught her the difference between sure enough and show enough in English. Reason I did it was because in the future, she's probably going to hear Simba and me talking in both formal and informal English. And I said, if you hear one of us say, sure enough, that means naturally or logically or as a necessary result. But if you hear us say show enough, that means yes, absolutely. Literally speaking the same words, different pronunciations, different spellings even. And because one is slang and therefore the meanings are different. Both are affirmatives, but in a different context. Now, see, that's how you explain the intricacies of different types of English to someone and make it easy for them. You let them know this is slang, this is formal. You let them know the distinction. But what I'm getting at here is that my son steps out of the comfort zone of the matrix, and he was introduced to her by family members that live in my hometown. With my son, that's how they were even introduced. Her relatives came and said, listen, I'm over here in the States, as you know. Here's this young man, open to getting married. I want y'all to meet and discuss, and y'all make a decision. Then when they went back, they said to my son, Simba, we're going back at this point. Come with us. And he is. And he did. And now after that trip, and he got sick on that trip because of it wasn't the lack of sanitation. It was something else. It had to do with air quality. It wasn't unsanitary conditions. It had to do with something else. But he did get ill, and he's recovering here. He's on the self-improvement track without even knowing what the hell it is. He's hitting the weights, not because he wants to get married and that's it. No, it's because there's a gym here and it's free. So he's like, oh, okay, well, I'll go ahead. He's doing his exercises daily, and he's researching the information that you all have given him about cybersecurity and coding, and he's leaning towards cybersecurity based on the advice and the feedback that we've gotten. And we thank y'all for that. But my son has stepped out of this comfort zone, and this is what is coming about from this right now with this point. But in the meantime, sisters cannot do this. That is not social media. That's real life. When you say just date out or just marry out, especially if you say just marry out, that is when they try to do this, this is when they realize how bad they have been to us, because no one is going to teach them a lesson like non-black men, especially successful non-black men that non-black women want. That's the only one that can teach them a lesson. Because those men feel just as superior and out of the league of sisters as sisters feel superior to and out of the league of a normal black man. That's real. I want you all to keep that in mind. Edward Allen Anderson says that we should tell them that, and I say to you, go ahead. But do understand this too. I am aware, and I hope that one day you will become aware of how much of a mockery that can be to say this to them. And that's exactly why I would say to say this to any of them that start any of the negative propaganda against black men. We are not failures. They hate whoever validates us and loves us because they hate us. That's war. They hate the women from the Philippines, and they hate the women from Thailand for being who they are and for loving us. They hate LBRY, Thai Noodle, as Richie Mack calls her. They cannot stand her. What is the reason they cannot stand her? They can't stand her because she's cute. I probably would go for a slightly different look, but she's cute and she's in shape. And she treats him well. And they look at her and they say, how dare she be this gorgeous? And I don't know how old she is, but she looks fairly young. She looks mature, but young, youthful, healthy. They look at her and like, God, ooh, I can't stand her. Because what she's doing is really driving them out of, she's really competing with them. She is all that they refuse to be to a black man. She's all of that. As much as she humanly could be, she's willing to do and be that to the benefit of a black man. I don't blame Richie Mack for not wanting to marry in front of the courts, even if it's in Thailand. But if they had some sort of spiritual marriage according to his or her faith tradition, I'd be okay with that. I don't endorse fornication. And if they did do it and I don't know about it, then okay, they did it and I just don't know. But the point I'm making is that in terms of the union, she's all they hate her. Don't think that because they're not talking about her specifically, they don't hate her. They hate her. They can't stand her. She does all of these things without being asked to do it. And she ain't fat, ain't got some other man's kids, ain't got no BDs or STDs. Now, how do I know? Real simple. If she did and Richie Mack found out, he could replace her easily. That's how I know. She ain't nagging him. That's how I know. That's how I came to understand these things. We know this if we think about it. So what I'm getting at here is that because of what he found, they hate him. They love whoever that woman is that was with him and left him or drove him away. They love it. Now, I don't know if she's actually a Wyatt woman. They would still love her for that. Still would, because they don't really seem to mind Wyatt women that used to be with a brother and drove him off or something like that. They don't seem to mind those ladies, especially if she did the driving him off and, taking him for everything that they could take. I mean, hell, they don't really hate Nicole Brown Simpson. Once they were split up, they didn't really hate her. They hated OJ more than they hated her. They were glad she took him to the court and took him for half. And yeah, they were happy about that. I'm telling you all. Yeah, I'm letting y'all know on the real, man. This is war. You cannot do anything about that sort of hatred. The only thing you can do is to mitigate the propaganda by saying to them, well, go ahead and just date out or marry. Matter of fact, first you say just date out, better yet, just marry out. That's how you phrase it. Don't tell them just lay out, because number one, that's the thing that's out of the three, lay, date, or marry. That's the easiest one for them. And even then, I'm going to let y'all in on a little secret. Even then, it's not that easy for them, because there are many men that ain't black. Many men who are not black that will not even fornicate with a sister. They can't throw it at some of them. I've seen it. I don't see it every day, but there are times when I've seen it, they couldn't even throw it at some of these guys. Wasn't gonna happen. Wasn't interested. Nope, you ain't getting that out of them. Oh, you just want to roll in the hay? You just want to, play in the snow a little bit, hopefully have the snow play in you. No, so that got quite, I shouldn't even say snow, just not us. And they can't do it. A lot of sisters can't necessarily, even here. See, there are men here that don't mind fornicating with black women, but they never married them. But there are many men here who would not be willing to fornicate with a black woman. So they want to say that it's just on social media. And this is what I think we should do. Start saying to them, not only on social media, but in real life. Well, you brothers be, you know what? Date or marry out there. Go ahead and get you one of them. Start saying this more in real life. How come brothers, you know what? That's not true. But if you think so, date or marry out. Date, then marry out. Go ahead. Since you think this is true. You don't want to have a conversation about it? No, because I don't believe it. Start saying that in real life. Most of you can say that innocently because what you're doing is you're merely giving a logical answer. You don't fully understand the mockery that is. I'm not blaming you for not knowing. You don't know. And I'm saying that while you're innocent, go ahead and say that. But I have actually refrained from saying this in many occasions because, well, I know the mockery that is. And you know how bad it is? Let me tell y'all one other way I know how bad it is. My wife's friend from Philadelphia sometimes asks my wife to talk to some of the black Saudi men. Girl, see if he's single. They ain't. They ain't. Now, last time, my wife explained to one gentleman, listen, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for someone who is single. I'm married. Are you single? He's like, I'm not. But you know what? I'll look for someone for your friend. And my wife, and the reason I know about this is because my wife even said to me, listen, she said, she hit me up. She's like, hey, listen, Baldy, is it okay if I, as a matchmaker, work with a male matchmaker? She asked my permission. I said, here's the deal. If I can listen to conversations and I can see the conversation thread, then you're free to work with a male matchmaker to find somebody. If I find out that anything was hidden, then I rescind the permission. And she's not the type to hide anything. So she's been transparent before. She has a history of being transparent. So I want to give her all due credit. But here's the deal. Here's the thing. She has not been able to, amongst the black Saudi men, she cannot find someone for her American sister friend. Can't find them. It's not there. They ain't interested, and I know because I went and talked to one a long time ago in Medina on her behalf. And I straight told him, listen, bro, I'm just going to let you know now. You and I, different nationalities, same race, have less differences between us than there is between my wife and her friend that's asking about you. I'm just letting you know. She's been a good friend to my wife. I also am going to tell you straight up that the sisters in America can be rough in their ways. I have not seen her be mean or abrasive, but her sense of humor is kind of rough. Just let them know. I wasn't even bad mouthing her. I was just trying to explain to him that did stuff that, like, just, yeah, her sense of humor could be rough. And she don't mean no harm. That's actually kind of warning him without bad mouthing her. That man straight said, I'm married and I can't afford another wife. And I later on said to her, she asked me, she said, Black, what'd that man say? I said, he's married, can't afford another wife, but also he's a smoker too. She said, well, you know, everybody got their devices. I pulled out my cell phone and said, yeah, I got my device. You know what I meant? She an English teacher. What's she doing? So you see where this is going. So yeah, I'm letting you all know that it's rough out there. Western sisters are having a rough time finding brothers from brothers now that ain't Western. They ain't trying to hear this mess. You got black Saudi brothers marrying women from other countries, from back home on the continent. They ain't trying to grab these Yankee sisters up. They ain't trying to marry the black German woman. They ain't trying to marry the black French woman. Oh no. Hell, the black Saudi brothers ain't even going to Africa to marry the black Christian Africans. They're going to marry the black Muslim women. And if she has an attitude, he's like, you're getting divorced and you get to go back to the home country. And they know this. So if they can't submit, they know better. They know to just, you know what, don't even proceed with the marriage. They know better. That's what's happening. That's what's up. So you tell them just date out, just marry out. That can be problematic enough and enough of an a mockery for the unrealism of it, even if it's an onyx that's not Western. And it is when they start making those efforts that they're going to find out not just how difficult they've been to you, you know, how hard to get they've been, but that's even when they're going to find out how much they have undervalued you, because that's when they are undervalued. They're trying to get these men. They'll be trying to woo these men, impress them with gifts and everything else. And these men might take the gifts and bounce. Thank you. Appreciate that. And go pick another woman. Stuff like that. Exactly what they've done will be done to them. And that is the hard part for them to understand, or to, I should say, to accept. But that's exactly what's going to shake out. If you were to say this to them and they actually try it, there are many of them who know not to try that. They won't take you up on that because they know that when they try that, when they make that effort, they know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to look stupid. To the white guys, I want to give one tip and then I'm going to go. Your gender war is different. And while many of you may not individually deserve this because you were born into this and you didn't do anything to start this, make no mistake about it. Your civilization does deserve this. It absolutely does. Your civilization deserves this. You individually probably don't. So what I want you to understand is that you have something you can say that is equally conclusive, if you will. It's hard to say this, but to your bitch. What you can say to her when she starts all this stuff about men is you can say to her, well, date down, marry down. That's what you would say to her. And of course they would say, but I shouldn't have to. Okay, well, you know what? Then don't say a damn thing about equality. Don't do it. Because both of us are going to need to start saying to these broads, you cannot be feminist and hypergamous at the same time. And if you're going to be, you need to be single forever, permanently, irreversibly, hopelessly. With that being said, I hope that what I've said has been of help, have been a benefit to you. And I mean it from the bottom of my black heart and from the depths of my black mind when I say to you, thank you for listening. As always, black heart, black mind, black out. Assalamu alaikum, black, heterosexual, non-select male power just because they don't like it. And as the jet black aircraft docks at the gate and you exit, please click on the merchandise link in the description and pick you up some t-shirts. Then if you have anything left over, only then punch the Cash App button and put in numbers that are going to be easy for you later on and you will not regret. Only in that case. Thank you for flying again with us here on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. And as always, gender justice forever.